Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have been reading from Madhya Lila, chapter number 10. We will be starting today. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum lagadeyam yat kripa tamham mande Shri Gurum Dintaridam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today is also the Tirubhav day of Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, and Shri Krishna Chandra. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who has written Chaitanya Charitamrita for us. Chapter 10, The Lord's Return to Jagannātha Purī. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had many talks with King Prataprudra. When Maharaj Prataprudra requested the Bhattacharya to arrange an interview with the Lord, the Bhattacharya assured him that he would try to do so as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from South India. When the Lord returned to Jagannātha Purī from his South Indian tour, he lived at the home of Kashi Mishra. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya introduced many Vaishnavas to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after his return. The father of Ramananda Rai, Bhavananda Rai, offered another son named Vaninath Pattanayaka for the Lord's service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed his associates about the pollution of Krishnadas brought about by his association with the Bhattaharis, and thus the Lord proposed to give him leave. Nityananda Prabhu sent Krishnadas to Bengal to inform the Navadvip devotees about the Lord's return to Jagannātha Purī. All the devotees of Navadvip thus began arranging to come to Jagannātha Purī. At this time, Paramananda Puri was at Navadvip, and immediately upon hearing news of the Lord's return, he started for Jagannātha Purī. Accompanied by a Brahmana named Kamalakant, Purushottam Bhattacharya, resident of Navadvip, was educated at Varanasi. He accepted the renounced order from Chaitanyananda, but he took the name of Swarupa. Thus he arrived at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After the demise of Sri Ishwar Puri, his disciple Govinda, following his instructions, went to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Due to his relationship with Keshav Bharati, Brahmanand Bharati was also respectfully received by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he arrived at Jagannātha Purī, he was advised to give up the deerskin clothing he wore. When Brahmananda understood Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu correctly, he accepted him as Krishna himself. However, when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya addressed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna, the Lord immediately protested. In the meantime, Kashivara Goswami also came to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this chapter, devotees from many different areas come to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they are exactly like many rivers that come from many places to finally flow into the sea. So let's begin. Verse number 1. Tam vande gora jaladam swasya yo darshanamritah vicheda vagraha mlan bhakta shasyani ajivayat. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is compared to a cloud that pours water on fields of grain which are like devotees suffering due to the shortage of rain. Separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like a drought, but when the Lord returns, his presence is like a nectarian rain that falls on all the grains and saves them from perishing. Verse number 2. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Verse number 3. Purve Yave Mahaprabhu Chalila Dakshine Prataparudra Raja Tabe Bolaila Sarvabhaume. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed for South India, King Prataparudra called Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to his palace. Verse number 4. Vasite asan dila kari namaskare Mahaprabhura varta tabe puchila tanhare. When Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya met with the king offered him a seat with all respects and inquired about news of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse number 5. Shunilana तुम्हार घरे एक महाशय Goda haite aila tenho maha kripamay. The king said to Bhattacharya, I have heard that a great personality has come from Bengal and is staying at your home. I have also heard that he is very, very merciful. Verse number 6. तुम्हारे बहु कृपा कैला कहे सर्वजन कृपा करी कराह मोरे तानहर darshan. I have also heard that this great personality has shown you great favor. At any rate, this is what I hear from many different people. Now, being merciful upon me, you should do me the favor of arranging an interview. So I need to just rearrange this a little bit because Mahaprabhu is hiding the way the setting has been here today. So please bear with me for a second. Let's see if that makes difference. Yes, it does. So verse number 7. भट्ट कहे ये सुनीला सभी सत्य हया तांड्र दर्शन तुम्हार घटना न हया. The Bhattacharya replied, all that you have heard is true, but as far as an interview is concerned, it is very difficult to arrange. Verse number 8. विरक्त सन्यासी तेन्हो रहेना निर्जने स्वप्नेह ना करेना तेन्हो राजा darshane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the renounced order and is very much detached from worldly affairs. He stays in solitary places and even in dreams he does not grant interviews to a king. Verse number 9. Tathapi prakare tuma Karaitama darshana samprati karila tenho dakshin gaman. Still, I would have tried to arrange your interview, but he has recently left to tour South India. Verse number 10. Raja kahe Jagannātha chhadi kene gela, bhatt kahe mahan tera ei ek lila. The king asked, why has he left Jagannath Puri? Purport, the Bhattacharya replied, such are the pastimes of a great personality. Verse number 11. Tirth pavitra karite kare tirth brahmana say chale nistarye samsarika jana. Great saints go to holy places of pilgrimage in order to purify them. For that reason, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is visiting many tirthas and delivering many, many conditioned souls. Verse number 12. Bhavad vidha bhagavatas tirthi bhutah swayam vibho tirthi kurvanti tirthani swantah sthena gadaprita. Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage. Purport, this verse spoken by Maharaj Yudhishthira to Vidur in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.13.10 is also quoted in the Adi Lila 1.63. Verse number 13. Vaishnavera ehaya eka swabhava nischala tenho jivan nahena Hena Swatantra Ishwar. A Vaishnav travels to places of pilgrimage to purify them and reclaim fallen conditioned souls. This is one of the duties of a Vaishnav. Actually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not a living entity but the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Consequently, he is a fully independent controller, yet in this position he is a devotee. As a devotee, he carries out the activities of a devotee. Purport, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur points out that because there are many permanent residents in holy places who do not precisely follow the rules and regulations governing living in a sacred place, exalted devotees have to go to these places to reclaim such persons. This is the business of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is unhappy to see others materially enmeshed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught these activities of a Vaishnava. Although he is the worshipable deity of all Vaishnavas, the complete and independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the Purnaha Shuddho Nitya Muktaha, completely uncontaminated and eternally liberated. He is Sanatan, for he has no beginning or end. Verse number 14. Raja kahe Tanre tumi yaite kene dile, pae padi yatna kari kene na rakhile. Upon hearing this, the king replied, Why did you allow him to leave? Why didn't you fall at his lotus feet and keep him there? Verse number 15. Bhattacharya kahe tenho swayam Ishwara swatantra sakshat Shri Krishna tenho nahe paratantra. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replies, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself and is completely independent, being Lord Krishna himself. He is not dependent on anyone. Verse number 16. Tathapi rakhite tanre bahu yatna kailun Ishwarera swatantra ichha rakhite narilun. Still I endeavored very hard to keep him there, but because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and completely independent, I was not successful. Verse number 17. Raja kahe bhatt tumi vichna shiromani tumi tanre Krishna kaha tate satya mani. The king said, Bhattacharya, you are the most learned and experienced person I know. Therefore, when you address Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Lord Krishna, I accept this as the truth purport. This is by His Divine Grace Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is the way to advance spiritual science. One must accept the words of an acharya, a bona fide spiritual master, to clear the path for spiritual advancement. This is the secret of success. However, one's guide must be a spiritual master who is actually an unalloyed devotee, strictly following the instructions of the previous acharya without deviation. Whatever the spiritual master says must be accepted by the disciple. Only then is success certain. This is the Vedic system. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as a Brahman and a realized soul, whereas Prataprudra was Kshatriya. Kshatriya kings used to obey very faithfully the orders of learned Brahmanas and saintly persons, and in this way they would rule their country. Similarly, Vaishyas used to follow the king's orders, and Shudras used to serve the three higher castes. In this way, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras used to live cooperatively, performing their respective duties. Consequently, society was peaceful, and people were able to discharge the duties of Krishna consciousness. Thus, they were happy in this life and able to return home back to Godhead. Verse 18. Punarapi ihan tanra haile agamana ek bar dekhi kari safal nayana. When Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returns, I wish to see him just once in order to make my eyes perfect. Verse number 19. Bhattacharya kahe tenho asibe alpakale rahite tanre ek sthana chahiye virale. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied, His Holiness Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will return very soon. I wish to have a nice place ready for him, a place solitary and peaceful. Verse number 20. Thakure ra nikat ar haibe nirjane ematta nirnay kari deha ekasthane. Lord Chaitanya's residence should be very secluded and also near the temple of Jagannātha. Please consider this proposal and give him a nice place to stay. Verse number 21. Raja kahe aiche Kashi Mishrera Bhavan Thakurera Nikat Hai Param Nirjan. The king replied, Kashi Mishra's house is exactly what you require. It is near the temple and is very secluded, calm and quiet. Verse 22. Eta kahi Raja rahe utkantit haina Bhattacharya Kashi Mishre kaila asiya. After seeing this, the king became very anxious for the Lord to return. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then went to Kashi Mishra to convey the king's desire. Verse 23. Kashi Mishra kahe ami bada bhagyavan mora grihe prabhu padera habe avasthan. When Kashi Mishra heard the proposal, he said, I am very fortunate that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord of all Prabhus, will stay at my home. Purport in this verse, the word Prabhupada referring to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is significant. Regarding this, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada comments, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Sri Krishna, and all his servants address him as Prabhupada. This means that there are many Prabhus taking shelter under his lotus feet. The pure Vaishnava is addressed as Prabhu, and this address is an etiquette observed between Vaishnavas. When many Prabhus remain under the shelter of the lotus feet of another Prabhu, The address Prabhupada is given. Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Prabhu are also addressed as Prabhupada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu are all Vishnu Tattva. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, therefore all living entities are under their lotus feet. Lord Vishnu is the eternal Lord of everyone, and the representative of Lord Vishnu is Lord's confidential servant. Such a person acts as a spiritual master for neophyte Vaishnavas. Therefore, the spiritual master is as respectable as Sri Krishna Chaitanya, as Lord Vishnu himself. For this reason, the spiritual master is addressed as Om Vishnupad or Prabhupada. The Acharya, the spiritual master, is generally respected by others as Shripad, and the initiated Vaishnava are addressed as Prabhu. Prabhu, Prabhupada, and Vishnupad are described in revealed scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Chaitanya Bhagavata. In this regard, these scriptures present evidence accepted by unalloyed devotees. The Prakrit Sahajiyas are not even worthy of being called Vaishnavas. They think that that only caste Goswamis should be called Prabhupada. Such ignorant Sahajiyas call themselves Vaishnav Das Anudas, which means the servant of the Vaishnavas. However, they are opposed to addressing a pure Vaishnav as Prabhupada. In other words, they are envious of a bona fide spiritual master who is addressed as Prabhupada, and they commit offenses by considering as bona fide spiritual master an ordinary human being or a member of a certain caste. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes such Sahajiyas as most unfortunate because of their misconceptions. They all fall into hellish conditions. Verse 24, Ay mata purushottam vasi yata jana prabhu ke milite sabar utkanthit mana. Thus all the residents of Jagannath Puri, which is also known as Purushottam, became anxious to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. Verse 25, Sarv lokera utkantha yabe atyanta badila Mahaprabhu dakshina haite tabahi aila. When all the residents of Jagannath Puri became extremely anxious to meet the Lord again, he returned from South India. Verse number 26. Shuni Anandit Haila Sabakar Mana Sabe Asi Sarvbhaume Kaila Nivedan. Hearing of the Lord's return, everyone became very happy, and they all went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and spoke to him as follows. Verse 27, Prabhura Saite Ama Sabar Karaha Milan Tomar Praside Pae Prabhura Charan. Please arrange our meeting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is only by your mercy that we can attain the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Verse 28, Bhattacharya kahe kali kashi mishra gare Prabhu yabena tahan milibas sabare. The Bhattacharya replied to the people, Tomorrow the Lord will be at the house of Kashi Mishra. I shall arrange for you all to meet him. Verse 29. Ardena Mahaprabhu Bhattacharya Sange Jagannātha Darshan Kaila Maharange. The next day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived and went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya with great enthusiasm to see the temple of Lord Jagannātha. Verse number 30. Mahaprasad Diya Tahan Milila Sevak Gana Mahaprabhu Sabakare Kaila Alingana. All the servants of Lord Jagannath delivered remnants of the Lord's food to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In return, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them all. Verse number 31. Darshan Kari Mahaprabhu Chalila Bahire Bhattacharya Anila Tanre Kashi Mishra Ghare. After seeing Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the temple. This Bhattacharya then took him to the house of After seeing Lord Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the temple. The Bhattacharya then took him to the house of Kashi Mishra. Kashi Mishra Asi Padila Prabhura Charane Griha Sahita Atma Tanre Kaila Nivedane. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at his house, Kashi Mishra immediately fell down at his feet and surrendered himself and all his possessions. Okay, verse number 33. Prabhu Chatur Bhuja Murti Tanre Dekhaila Atmasat Kari Tare Alingan Kaila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then showed Kashi Mishra his four-armed forms, and accepting him for his service, the Lord embraced himself. Verse 34. Tabbe Mahaprabhu Tahan Vasila Asme Chandike Vasila Nityanand Adi Bhaktagane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next sat down at the place prepared for him, and all the devotees headed by Lord Nityananda Prabhu surrounded him. Verse 35. Sukhi Haila Dekhi Prabhu Vasar Samsthan Yehi Vasai Haya Prabhura Sarva Samadhan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy to see his residential quarters in which all his necessities were taken care of. Verse 36. Sarbhom Kahe Prabhu Yogya Tomar Vasa Tumi Angikar Kar Kasi Misreda Dasa. Kasi Misreda Asha. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, "This place is just befitting you. Please accept it. It is the hope of Kashi Mishra that you do." Verse 37. Prabhu kahe e deha toma sabhakar ye tumi kaha sai sammat amar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My body belongs to all of you. Therefore, I agree to whatever you say." Verse 38. Tabe Sarvabhauma Prabhura Dakshina Pravase Vasi Milalite Lagila Sab Purushottam Vasi. After this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, sitting at the right hand of the Lord, began to introduce all the inhabitants of Purushottam Jagannātha Purī. Verse 39. Ei sab toka loka prabhu वैसे नीलाचले उत्कंठित हानाचे सबे तोमा मिलीबारे. The Bhattacharya said, "My dear Lord, all these people who are residents of Nilachal Jagannath Puri have been very anxious to meet you." Verse number 40. Trista Chatak Yalche Kare Hahakar Taiche Se Ei Zaba Sabe Kare Angikar. In your absence, all these people have been exactly like thirsty Chatak birds crying in disappointment. Please accept them. Verse 41. Jagannath Sevak E Nama Janardan Anavasare Kare Prabhura Sri Anga Sevana. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya first introduced Janardan, saying, "Here is Janardan, servant of Lord Jagannath. He renders service to the Lord when it is time to renovate his transcendental body." Purport. During Anavasara, after the Snanyatra ceremony, Lord Jagannath is absent from the temple for 15 days so he can be renovated. This occurs annually. Janardan, who is here being introduced to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was rendering this service at the time. The renovation of Lord Jagannath is also known as Navyavan, which indicates that the Jagannath deity is fully restored to youth. Verse 42. Krishnadas Naam Ei Suvarna Vetra Dhari Sikhi Mahati Naam Ei Likhana Adhikari. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued, "This is Krishnadas, who carries a golden cane, and here is Shikhi Mahiti, who is in charge of writing." Purport. The person in charge of writing is also called Deula Karanpada Prapta Karamchari. He is employed especially to write a calendar called Matala Panji. Verse 43. Pradyumna Mishra Inha Vaishnav Pradhan Jagannathera Mahas Soyar Inha Das Nam. This is Pradyumna Mishra, who is chief of all Vaishnavas. He is the great servitor of Jagannātha and his name is Das. Purport: in Orissa, most of Brahmanas have the title Das. Generally, it is understood that the word Dasa refers to those other than Brahmanas, but in Orissa, the Brahmins are the Das title. This is confirmed by Chuli Bhatta. Actually, everyone is Das because everyone is a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In that sense, the bona fide Brahmanan has the first claim to the appellation Das. Therefore, in this case, the designation Das is not incompatible. Verse 44, Murari Mahati Inha Sikhi Mahatir Bhai Tomar Charan Vinu Ar Gati Nai. This is Murari Mahiti, the brother of Shiki Mahiti. He has nothing other than your lotus feet. Verse 45, Chandaneshwara Simheshwara Murari Brahmana Vishnudas Inha Dhyaye Tomar Charan. Hera, Chandaneshwar, Simheshwar, Murari Brahman and Vishnudas, they are all constantly engaged in meditating on your lotus feet. Verse 46, Praharaj Mahapatra Inha Mahamati Paramananda Mahapatra Inhar Samhati. This is Paramananda Prahar Raja, who is also known as Mahapatra. He is very, very intelligent. Praharaj is a designation given to Brahmanas who represent the king when the throne is vacant. In Orissa, between the time of king's death and the enthronement of another king, a representative must sit on the throne. The representative is called Praharaj. The Praharaj is generally selected from a family of priests close to the king. During this time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Praharaj was Paramananda Praharaj. Verse number 47, Ek sab Vaishnava ek kshetrera bhushana ekanta bhave chinte sabe tomar charan. All these pure devotees serve as ornaments to Jagannath Puri. They are always undeviatingly meditating upon your lotus feet. Verse number 48, Tabe sabe bhume pade dandavat hena sab alingila Prabhu prasad kariya. After this introduction, everyone fell to the ground like rods. Being very merciful upon them all, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced each one of them. Verse number 49, Hena kale aila tatha bhavananda rai chari putra sanghe pade Mahaprabhu rapai. At this time, Bhavananda Rai appeared with 4 of his sons, and all of them fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport: Bhavananda Rai had 5 sons, one of whom was the exalted personality known as Ramananda Rai. Bhavananda Rai first met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after his return from South India. At the time, Ramananda Rai was still serving at his government post. Therefore, when Bhavananda Rai went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went with his other 4 sons. They were named Vaninath, Gopinath, Kalanidhi and Sudhanidhi. A description of Bhavananda Rai and his 5 sons is given in the Adi Lila 10.133 to 34. Verse number 50. Sarvbhauma kahe e Rai Bhavananda Inhara Prathama Putra Rai Ramananda. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued, this is Bhavananda Rai, the father of Sri Chaitanya, of Sri Ramananda Rai, who is his first son. Verse number 51. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tanre Kaila Alinganat Stuti Kari Kahe Ramananda Vivarna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Bhavananda Rai and with great respect spoke of his son Ramananda Rai. Verse number 52. Ramananda Rai Hena Ratna Yanhara Tanaya Tanhara Mahima Loke Kahana Nayai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu honored Bhavananda Rai by saying, the glories of a person who has a jewel of a son like Ramananda Rai cannot be described within this mortal world. Verse number 53. Sakshat Pandu Tumi Tumar Patni Kunti Panch Pandava Tumar Panch Putra Maya Mahamati. You are Maharaj Pandu himself and your wife is Kunti Devi herself. All your highly intellectual sons are representatives of the 5 Pandavas. Verse 54. Rai kahe Ami Shudra Vishay Adhama Tabu Tumi Suparsha Ei Ishwara Lakshana. After hearing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's praise, Bhavananda Rai admitted, I am in fourth class of the social order and I engage in mundane affairs. Although I am a very fallen, you have still touched me. This is proof that you are Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport, as stated in Bhagavad-Gita 5.18, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chev Swapake Cha Panditaha Samadarshina. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with all equal vision a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog and dog eater, which is an outcast. Those who are highly advanced in spiritual understanding do not care about a person's material condition. A spiritually advanced person sees the spiritual identity of every living being, and consequently he makes no distinctions between learned Brahman, a dog, a Chandal, or anyone else. He is not influenced by the material body, but sees a person's spiritual identity. Consequently, Bhavananda Rai appreciated Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement, which showed that the Lord did not consider the social position of Bhavananda Rai, who belonged to the Shudra caste, engaged in mundane activities. Rather, the Lord considered the spiritual position of Bhavananda Rai along with that of Ramananda Rai and his brothers. The servant of the Lord is also similarly inclined. He gives shelter to any person, any living entity, regardless of whether he belongs to the Brahman family or a Chandal family. The spiritual master reclaims all people and encourages everyone in spiritual life. By taking shelter of such a devotee, one can make his life successful, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.18. Kirat Hunandra Pulinda Pulaksha Abhira Shumbha Yavanaha Khasadayah Ye Anye Chapapa Yad Apashrayashrayah Shudhyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Nama. Kirtans, Hunas, Andhras, Pulindas, Pulakshas, Abhiras, Shumbhas, Yavanas, and members of the Khasa races, and even others who are addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Due to his being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Whoever takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or is pure devotee is elevated to the spiritual order and purified from material contamination. This is also confirmed by Krishnadas in the Bhagavad-Gita 9.32. Mam hi partha vyapashritya ye api syuhe papi yonayah striyo vaishyas tatha shudras te api yanti param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they may be of the lower birth, women, Vaishyas, that is the merchants, and Shudras, that is the workers, can attain the supreme destination. So verse 55, which is last verse for today. Nijgriha Vitta Bhritya Pancha Putra Sane Atma Samar Pilun Ami Tomar Charane. Appreciating Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's favor, Bhavananda Rai also said, along with my home, riches, servants, and 5 sons, I surrender myself at your lotus feet. Purport, this is the process of surrender, as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Manasa Deha Geha Yo Kichu Mora Arpilun Tuya Pade Nandakishora. This is from the Sharanagati. When one surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord, he does so with everything in his possession, his house, his body, his mind, and whatever else he possesses. If there is any obstruction to his surrendering process, one should immediately give up without attachment. If one can surrender with all his family members, there is no need to take sannyas. However, if the surrendering process is hampered by so-called family members, one should immediately give them up to complete the surrendering process. Okay, I think we'll read 56 as well. Ei Vaninath rahibe tomar charane yabe ye agya taha karibe sevane. This son Vaninath will remain at your lotus feet to always immediately attend to your orders and serve you. Verse 57. Atmiya gyane Mora sankoch na karibe ye yabe ichha tabe se agya dibe. My dear Lord, please consider me your relative. Do not hesitate to order whatever you desire at any time you desire it. Verse 58. Prabhu kahe ki sankoch tumi na para, janme janme tumi amar swamshe kinkara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted Bhavananda Rai's offer by saying, I accept without hesitation because you are not an outsider. Birth after birth, you have been my servant along with your family members. Verse 59. Dina pancha sat bhitare asibe Ramananda tanre sange purna habe amar ananda. Shri Ramananda Rai is coming within 5 to 7 days. As soon as he arrives, my desires will be fulfilled. I take great pleasure in his company. Verse number 60. Eta bali prabhu tanre kaila alingana tanra putra sabe shire dharila charan. Saying this, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Bhavananda Rai. The Lord then touched the heads of his sons with his lotus feet. Verse 61. Tabe Mahaprabhu tanre ghare pathaila vaninath pattanaike nikate rakhila. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then sent Bhavananda back to his home, and he kept only Vaninath Pattanaika in his personal service. Verse 62. Bhattacharya sab loke vidaye karaila tabe prabhu Kala Krishna dase bolaila. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then asked all the people to leave. Afterwards, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called for Kala Krishna Das, who had accompanied the Lord during his South Indian tour. Verse 63. Prabhu kahe Bhattacharya sunaha inhara charita dakshina Giyachila inha amar Sahita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, My dear Bhattacharya, just consider the character of this man who went with me to South India. Verse 64. Bhattarhari kache gela amare chadiya Bhattahari haite inhare anilun udhariya. He left my company to associate with the Bhattaharis, but I rescued him from their company and brought him here. Verse 65. Ebe ami iha ani karilan vidaye yahan ichat yah ama sane nahi ar daya. Now that I have brought him here, I am asking him to leave. Now he can go wherever he likes, for I am no longer responsible for him. But Kala Krishnadas was influenced and allured by nomads or gypsies who enticed him with women. Maya is so strong that Kala Krishnadas left Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company to join gypsy women. Even though a person may associate with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he can be allured by Maya and leave the Lord's company due to his slight independence. Only one who is overwhelmed by Maya can be so unfortunate as to leave Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company. Yet unless one is very conscientious, the influence of Maya can drag one away, even though he be the personal assistant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what to speak of others. The Bhattaharis had to increase their numbers by using women to allure outsiders. This is actual evidence showing that it is possible at any time to fall down from the Lord's association. One need only misuse his little independence. Once fallen and separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead's association, one becomes a candidate for suffering in the material world. Although rejected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kala Krishnadas was given another chance, as the following verses relate. Verse 66. Eta shuni Krishnadas kandite lagila madhyahana karite Mahaprabhu chali gela. Hearing the Lord reject him, Kala Krishnadas began to cry. However, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not caring for him, immediately left to take his noon lunch. So we'll continue our reading from verse number 67 next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.